Hey, what's going on, guys? Heads here from Infinity Loops, and today we take a look, finally, at the RCinPower 1002 motors. All 3 kVs. Let me first start by saying I know it's taken a little while to put this video out. I have had these motors on several different builds, all 3 of the KVs, over the last month. I've been trying to fly them as often as possible. I've gone through some parts. We've had some things break. We had a couple builds not work out so great, but we tried as much as we possibly could with the parts I had on hand. I also had to order some replacement parts. We'll go over that. So we'll start off at the top with the 1S 75mm Whoop platform. I did hear these motors recommended quite a bit before their release and now after as being a viable option to throw onto a 1S 75mm Whoop. So I was eager to try it. I threw them into my normal Fractal 75, the Mob Thick build, my daily flyer. I cleaned up the tune slightly. It was a little heavier with those motors. The normal dry weight on this build with 0802 motors that I run is 23.5 grams. And with the 0802 motors removed and replaced with the 1002s, that build was coming out to 26 and some change. So I was actually closer to gaining close to 3 grams from adding those motors onto my build. So with the 19,000 kVs on a 1S Whoop, I was getting around 3.5 minute flight times. These are on brand new fresh cells, so the flight time was a bit shorter for me than my usual 0802s, but I feel like you could probably explain that by the extra weight being carried. It is a little more stress put on the whole system overall when you start adding weight to these very lightweight builds. As for the 19,000 kVs on a 1S Whoop, it's not my cup of tea, but it might be for you. I'm not saying don't try them. I'm just saying as far as for if your style is more like mine, where you kind of like to do those snappy, abrupt movements and stops and flicks and reverses and all that stuff, it's going to be a little sloppy with the 1002s when you start to add that extra weight. Now, where I did find the 19,000 kV motors to be pretty good was on this 2-inch toothpick. Running the same exact battery, just running 2-inch props and running it open like this on a toothpick, I was able to get closer to 5-minute flight times. I wasn't going super hard on it, but even when I did, I would still be on the stronger side of like 4-minute flight times with this. So I really feel like the 19,000 kV shine on a 2-inch toothpick. Great control. I had tons of fun flying this. That's why it's still together. I've been flying this one for the majority of the month as far as toothpicks go. My other ones have been all but grounded. I've mainly just been flying this one. And on a 450 milliamp pack, pH 2.0, I'm able to get close to 5 minutes. That's plenty enough for me. So moving right along to the 22,000 kVs, I tried these on a 1S Whoop as well on my daily flyer, and what I got was a burned up ESE on my Diamond flight controller after about 3 days of flying it. I was getting close to 3.5 minutes on the flights. It felt kind of similar to the 19,000s. That extra weight is still really obvious to me, at least in the air. However, there was a little more play in the mid-stick throttle with these. There wasn't so much low-end catch as there was, you know, they felt a little peppier than the 19,000s. If I had to suggest any of these motors to go on a 1S Whoop, if you had to choose 1002s and didn't want to do 0802s, I would probably recommend the 22,000 kVs. Maybe just running them with a throttle cap, or maybe a flight controller with some stronger ESCs in it than what I have here with my dead Diamond. So as for these 22,000 kVs, I really feel like these might be better again on the toothpicks style builds. But as for running them on a 1S 75mm Whoop, wasn't a great experience for me. It was a little better than the 19,000 kVs, I must admit. I do prefer the higher kV. However, my flight controller did not. Now moving on to these very pretty 14,000 kVs, which I got in that nice orange color. I myself put these through 2 different builds that were 2S, both of them, and I could not find a happy mixture of components. I just could not get it to fly right. I couldn't get the tunes to feel right. They were either overpowered, underpowered. I just couldn't find a happy balance. So I'm still playing around with these. You might see something out of me in the future with these, but I was not happy with how it was flying, so I took it back apart, and here they sit until I find something a little better to put them in. But I have been speaking with Callisto. His channel is linked right up here, and I'll leave a link down below in the description actually to some flight footage of him flying around these motors on 2S, if you'd like to check that out over on his channel. I think he's found a happy spot for him finally, but I know at first he was talking about there was some issues trying to get it tuned right and get it to feel right on 2S. But I actually think these 14,000 kVs might not be too bad on an ultralight toothpick. Running 1S might actually be kind of fun. So that might be my next build. Overall, I think these motors are really going to come down to personal taste on how you prefer to fly your builds. I prefer that kind of nimble, snappy, lightweight feeling in the air, and I just do not get that with these 1002s on a whoop. I don't feel that lightweight anymore. I feel, like I said, it feels a little sloppier, a little drifty. But as for on a 2-inch toothpick, this little thing rips. It's so simple. This is just a Crazy Bee F4 1S board, one of their old like Mobula 6 boards. The Foxy or Pico Razor that I would normally run, a little B-Brain V2 canopy, the 1002 19,000 kV motors, and some of these GemFan bi-blade 2-inch props. So while I wait for more parts to arrive, we're going to wrap up this video by saying, please leave any questions, comments down below. Also, tell me what build you are using these motors in and where you found them to be best suited for you. Take care of yourselves, guys, and we will see you in the next one.